What I'd like to talk about today is, Smith and Nephew's journey. It's been a 4 or 5 year journey today. I hope you're all well and safe. And thanks to those presenters this morning, because it's not always easy, certainly in front of a crowd of around 800. So thank you very much for everyone that's joining. I'm Mark East. I'm Program Manager for UDI, Global Advanced Wound Management for Smith and Nephew, covering over 1,000 products, and I've been working on this for 4 or 5 years now. So I'd like to move on. Yep. So I'd like to be introduced to, Smith and Nephew, understand what we do, and more importantly, UDI custom and regulatory requirement for advanced wound management franchise and how we meet them. The supplier perspective, as a supplier, we have to meet these requirements and find the route forward to deliver on requirements. And then that transfers to equipment design and ideation. And then I'd like to speak a little bit about lessons learned, because we can't do these things without understanding what might go wrong, what might go right, and understanding how we put that right as we go forward. So an introduction to Smith and Nephew. We run 3 global franchises: orthopedics, sports medicine, and ENT, advanced wound management. We employ around 18,000 employees globally, and we are on the FTSE 100, and our annual revenue is 4.6 billion. This is a slide that I'd like to share, and I've picked some points that I'd like to share with you, because often of companies start small and grow larger thanks to those great customers that we have across the globe. Thomas James Smith in 1856 opened a small shop, a chemist shop in Hull, UK, developing cod liver oil, which, as we all know, cod was pretty big in those days. Horatio Smith, his nephew, joined partnership to form TJ Smith and Nephew. In 1914, World War I, Smith and Nephew received an order from the French army and delivered in 5 months the first wound dressing. And during that period, staff grew from 50 to 1,200. I'd like you to please take a look at this. I'm sure it'll be shared afterwards, because I can't talk through the whole journey, and that's not what today's about. But the reality is, I've picked one point out here. One of our products, Pico, the first pocket-sized, single-use, single negative wound pressure device. Fantastic. Great device, and provides, great things for people to make their lives better. And something I wanted to read out at the bottom of this is our pillars of strategy, and what we truly believe in is we exist to restore people and their self-belief by using technology to take their limits off living. We can call this our purpose, life unlimited, and that's something I know that is deep in our philosophy at Smith and Nephew. I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you. So how do we deliver this against the UDI customer and regulatory requirements? How do we meet them? So this is not done by reading lots of pieces of paper or being on the internet with people. We need to engage in understanding regulatory requirements for UDI, reading white papers, mandates, engaging with GS1. That has been so important, and I'm not calling this out because it's a GS1 conference, but seriously, it's there as a benchmark for what we do, and of course regulatory bodies. Multiple visits to the NHS trusts, really enjoyed those, jumping in the car and going to these and seeing the reality of how it works and what people are trying to achieve in this. And of course, Mark mentioned earlier on that, this is moving forward and it's the future, so we'll embrace that. We practiced our products, our real products, in our small first generation items, and I'm pleased to say that our results passed. So that was a little bit of a test period for us. And of course, we go through ongoing networking with the NHS and any seminar that's offered to us, really, because I think that's important to engage, to receive information. And as you can see, there's some pictures in there that describe, I'll just go back one step. You can see some pictures here that describe the patient band and the order in which we scan things, as Mark described earlier on. Thank you. The next slide describes that we go through, as we all do, we need to plan against timelines. Some come further forward than most, but the reality is there's wording within each one that we need to understand, and the relationship between those markets, and that's what we do. But I'm pleased to say that we're in front of that, and I'm going to tell you how we did that. Okay, so more importantly, around the supplier perspective, as a supplier, how do we approach that? Now, this is quite wordy, but in essence, what we did was we looked at the attitude of meeting separate requirements, but we've got over maybe 40 different manufacturing sites around the world, and rather than cherry pick individual SKUs against different timelines, we felt it was probably better as an organization to invest in those sites well ahead of those targets. And so what we call it is a one-touch approach. We upgrade an asset, we invest in that asset, we teach the organization how to be UDI compliant and deliver on that basis, so that all SKUs on that asset, that equipment, and I've got some videos to show as well, are UDI compliant, because a mixture of those might be FDA, might be NHS, and then obviously some long-reaching regulations. So it just felt good business sense to invest in front, really. So we developed a strong worldwide working relationship. We obviously have an extended network, different languages. We taught people what UDI is about. We developed a bespoke SAP interface for auto-population of UDI software. This was a business decision to really sort of bolt down the concerns of manual intervention with, because the reality is, if we get one code wrong or one GTIN wrong, then that then translates through to the end user. So what I can say is that it was over 600 lines of text, coding, months and months, years of development, which I'm going to show you some videos of that. And one thing was, what was important, because we had so many sites, we developed a standardized equipment sort of specification. It was like we called it like the gold standard to put a full UDI in place, rather than just meet the minimum requirement. We felt, well, future markets are probably going to need the full UDI, so let's put that in place at the beginning. And I know that there's people on this call who will probably understand the risk in doing less than that. So I'll move on. Thank you. So you can't do this without collaboration. I could have maybe shared a different graphic to this, but I did a quick calculation, and there's probably around 1,500 people that have been involved with this, and that's external suppliers of equipment, it's internal QA systems, it's change control, it's validation, it's change control leads. You can read it for yourself, you can see it for yourself on the screen, that you can't do it without the buy-in of everybody. And I know that sometimes happens within a normal organization, that these people come into play, but it's a big spider's web, I can tell you. And I've enjoyed building that network to be able to deliver this program successfully. So I'm going to go on a little bit about equipment design and ideation, because I think that's a key point for whoever might be on the journey right now. But more to the point is, if you're in front or behind, the regulatory compliance, seeing the reality of how you actually apply the print and you control the print and how you get to that, and the offer that's made at the time, is quite important and quite close to my heart. And that's the bit I've enjoyed about this project, working with those people that have helped develop that along with Smith Nephew. So how did that work then? So I made some notes on top of what I've showed here, but I did reach out to over 10 UDI potential suppliers, and it was very much in a back room, you know, a couple of colleagues. We didn't even know what UDI was about. Googled it, you know, did this was maybe 5 years ago. Attended packaging exhibitions, you know, we did small scale trials on filtered suppliers. We did lots of trials. We used lots of products to try and prove what we might achieve and not achieve. And I'm really pleased to say that we actually landed with a bespoke supplier. It was the right thing to do for Smith Nephew to develop a bespoke system that delivered not only compliance but control and how can I say it in the best way? It was, as soon as you input something, it maps it all the way through, right from the start to the end. And again, I'm going to show you some videos. And I can say that, you know, that supply was phenomenal all the way through this. And I'm pleased that we went that route rather than have a mixture of suppliers. Of course, we engaged in, I've placed it on here, Microscan, Omron as some global leaders for verification inspection, but the integrator was really helpful in delivering that whole journey. Okay. So I've shared some images here. Bespoke UDI software. Again, I've spoke about being able to buy, you know, purchase, you know, off-the-shelf products, but what I was seeing at the time, our team was seeing, is that they delivered parts of the project. They delivered, you know, either printing or inspection of the code, or they delivered one part of it. It was in the early stages of UDI intervention globally, and we said, well, let's just grab the bull by the horns and develop something that it works, it delivers. And so we developed a bespoke UDI operating system, which controls not only input but control of the printer interface, and then also all the way through our Smith Nephew process to say that the end product is compliant to what is expected from the customer, that meets compliance. Okay, so I have said compliance quite a few times, but yeah. and all of that printing can be done, but in essence, we need to verify that to make sure it meets GS1 compliance. And as you can see on the left-hand top, there's various pieces of equipment that our operators within the network can see and use to test the grading. We've got inline grading systems that automatically have feedback systems that inform our operations on whether it's compliant or not, and auto reject systems. So that's really good to see. And I just want to call out the picture in the middle. You know, some of our wider networks include global supply chains, and some of the evidence I received of proof of training, that was a group of people around a screen watching the training. So that's one of my favorites. Next, right, move on. Yeah. Okay, so this is an example of some of our prints. I have shared these with the NHS. We have visited the NHS. We have tested some of these, but you can see this is probably normal to most people. But I wanted to show this as being that printing a UDI isn't just on one substrate. It can be on a pouch of 15 different substrates. It can be on a carton. It can be on a label, different size cartons. It's a real challenge for all, but you know what? We've got through that, and we understand the pitfalls. And if anyone ever needs any advice on that, then feel free to contact me. Okay, so I've got some videos of some equipment that I'd like to show. So this is showing the operator scanning our automatic SAP input, which controls the variable data, what is going to appear on the product. They're inputting the quantity on the batch. And of course, all of this is locked down so that it's within our system templates globally for what that expects to be seen on the template. We then thought we'd put a material check in there. So the actual carton that the operator's got in their hand meets with that. We had some fun delivering this piece of equipment, but we decided to go for a very automated process to not only print our cartons, inspect our cartons. because of high volume. You can see it's going through the print station, inspect station. It then goes for a reject station if there is one code found to an issue. And for anyone who might have questions, the reason why we might find an issue there is the odd instance where a carton may just misload or be in the wrong position, but it's there as our guardian, really. This is another video where we're showing the system again. You can see that the operator gets a full system check, removes any human error, scans the carton, scans the pouch material, 100% scanning of the code. Again, machine stops, rejected if that code is found to be incorrect. So then what we've got here is we've got an end of line. It's like a supermarket shopping area. So what we decided to do is to prove the marriage between the pouch and carton, because there is a very, very low risk that the operator, due to high volume, places the pouch into the wrong carton. It's very, very unlikely, but we thought, if we're going to do this, then let's make it 100% robust. You can see the operators getting hold of, placing them into the carton, packing them. This is pretty nifty. We slide it over, you'll see it in the next part, is when it's completed, to slide it over a camera. You can see a small slit in the center of that table. That table was already designed for the operator. Place it over that, and it scans both the pouch and carton to show the full marriage of that, and that's a product then ready to ship with a full UDI. Great, thank you for that. That worked well. Right, next slide. Are we able to move this on, Natasha? Okay, so lessons learned then. I always believe in lessons learned. So I'm just trying, yeah. So what I would say with any of this, anybody who's integrating UDI into a manufacturing facility is expect the unexpected, yeah? Different materials, optimization all the time. Make sure that you fully validate everything, because there's different substrates, there's different pieces of paper. If you get an ink pen and you write on a blotting paper, it's going to spill. Yeah, so I can only say that we've been through a lot of testing to make sure we've got optimization ready. Explore many options of suppliers. Whilst we settled with a great sort of like external provider for this, is that we needed to make the right choices and understand that we didn't sign up to what was best offered, but what we felt was right and was going to deliver the best solution. Sorry. No one system fits all. There's always slight tweaks depending on the size of the print, size of the carton, all the rest of it. As we all know, manufacturing has variance. But more importantly, partner up with those that are needed. Don't go it alone. Don't be in a back room. Speak to people. Share with people. I'd love to put my name on somewhere on the internet and say, I know a little bit about UDI. Do you want to come and talk to me? But I have to call out GS1 partnership. Chris and his team have been instrumental in debugging some of those obscure questions around how we might template something, how that might meet a regulation. And I seriously have not put that there because it says GS1 is, kudos to GS1, that's what fits the regulation and that's what's good. And build a stakeholder and working group as early as possible. program requires rigorous project management. I can tell you I'm under the cosh all the time to present where we're at with the project and making sure that we're compliant. Understand regulatory requirements. There's no point doing it if you don't know where you're at with something. Do not underestimate the volume of change. I've said tens of thousands of actions of approvals, but I think I did a rough count with my team, and we're looking at around 12,000 document approvals as part of this up to date. Engage with the customer. We've been out there and we've spoke with people and said, does this work? Is this what you want? And okay, in the future, may I need to do that more, but more importantly, work with your colleagues, coaching the use of benefits of UDI. I'd like to see some share on what we've all seen today and in the wider group in operations. And that concludes my presentation. So thank you very much for listening. I'll welcome any questions.
Thank you, Mark. That was really, really interesting, and a clear message that engagement and partnering with relevant organisations is absolutely key and has been for your journey. So thank you. Chris, I'll hand over to you to see if there are any questions for Mark.
There are, and thank you for actually pointing out that the question is for Mark. Thank you. Is it possible to tell us what percentage of revenue you spent on your UDI projects?
Oh, well, that would be confidential. Unfortunately, I can't, but what I can say, well, I need to be careful what I say, it's considerable. And that spans over, capital investment. As you can imagine, these bespoke pieces of equipment over 30 sites, it's a considerable figure. And sometimes, cost over quality as well comes into play. Unfortunately, I can't give you a figure, but I don't even want to put a zero on it, but it's pretty huge. But it's future-proofing. We decided that from the off. But thanks for the question. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, I had a feeling you wouldn't be able to give them a figure, but at least to get a flavour and also an indication of just how much resource was put into this project to make it right.
Yeah.
There is another question, but I think I can probably answer this one. Can the serialization equipment for EU Falsified Medicines Directive for medicinal products be adapted to UDI scanning and verification, or should we need new equipment? Now, I'm no expert in this area, but I'm an expert in the GS1 standards. And if you're using GS1 standards for EU FMD, then it probably would be quite straightforward to adapt what you're already doing for that for the UDIs, because it uses GTINs, it uses the same GS1 application identifiers that you use within the barcodes. The barcode would be the same, it'd be a GS1 data matrix, and that meets the requirement as well. So I reckon, Victoria, that absolutely it will be adaptable